What is up, YouTube? Happy Friday. Today we are going to be talking about how to find entries on Bitcoin. So let's get right into this. Before we go ahead and do that, let's talk about the total market cap as always, which really hasn't seen that much of a change from yesterday's video. If we drop time frames to the 4-hour, we did get a mini bounce right here, but it's already starting to reject and doesn't look super strong. In my opinion, what I would suspect to happen kind of here on the short term is this MACD to start to take charge over the price. So we should either see one more little drop and then a bounce that actually reaches some of these resistance levels right up here. I'll just delete that so it looks a little bit better. And then that's where we will see a rejection and the completion of an ABC correction. Remember, an ABC correction has a zigzag shape. So from where this correction starts, we're expecting to see an A wave down, a B wave up, and a C wave back down. And that's that zigzag shape here. So that's kind of what I'm watching on the total market cap here. Let's just check out what our top mover is next. Okay, so our top mover of the day is Nebulous. Let's pull up the chart and see what's good. So as you can see on Nebulous, we have a nice uptrend forming with higher lows and higher highs. This is starting to go parabolic on the short term though, and there is a lot of resistance in these areas here. So it's not something that I would be FOMOing into by any means. If anything, a good entry would have been right here or right here on one of those dip buys before we really started going parabolic. We can also take the Elliott wave tool here and very quickly find a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave structure. So somewhere this fifth wave is going to stop. It could always have an extended fifth wave where it actually keeps pushing higher, but those are a little bit rarer until you start to break all-time highs and go into price discovery mode. So I would suspect that we get a fifth wave that stops somewhere in this resistance chunk over here that used to be kind of support right here before that failed and capitulated. Now this is the same bottom formation that we've seen across the market, which is that Adam and then Eve rounded bottom, which creates this nice uptrend afterwards. Now that is all what is going on in the smaller time frame. So if you actually go into the bigger time frame here, you can see that we've had an ABC corrective pattern. So this is an A and then a B and a C wave like that. So that kind of gives you both perspectives, and that's why we've started seeing bullish impulse waves, is because we're making the first wave here. So this is all those subwaves that we were just counting is actually a one wave and a bigger picture cycle that is starting to play out. So yeah, Nebulous is looking pretty big on the long term, and in the short term it is a little bit too risky for me to jump in on, but it wouldn't surprise me if it goes a little bit higher before that rejection. And one more thing with the total market cap here before we go, I just wanted to remind you that the support zone that we're watching is between 161 billion and 169. I am using the 12-hour candlesticks for this, and you guys can go ahead and copy this if you like. To do that, go to charts.cointrader.pro and then under here type in market cap, and you'll bring up the total market cap chart. You can drop into the 12-hour and then grab these horizontal boxes right here, these rectangles, and start drawing your support and resistance accordingly. You can go ahead and pause the video right now if you need to look at the way that I've done it so you guys can do this as well. Okay, so Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. We are looking at Bitcoin for entries right now. A lot of people are wondering, okay, I've made some profit on my longs. Maybe you took out of your long position, or maybe you just missed this entire move right here and are wondering where you can actually get in on Bitcoin with a safe risk to reward ratio where you're not just gambling or just buying part of the hype or, you know, buying part of the fear. The best thing for you to do is obviously to buy fear, but to buy fear with a trading plan, because what can actually happen is sometimes people get lost in the markets. It's like a big forest between time frames and indicators and candlestick patterns, and it can be very, very overwhelming. So what you really want to do is break that down into a trading plan each time that you take a trade so that you know what you're doing. And that way, if the trade doesn't go in your favor, you can always change your trading plan later. But if you use that plan over and over and over, you'll start to get a win rate with that trading plan that's profitable. And something that's really, really interesting about trading, and most people, most beginners do not understand this big secret, is that most profitable traders don't even win like 100% of the time. People are like, oh, this profitable trader is 76 or 100% of the time. That can happen. If you get a really good strategy, you can win up to 75% of the time. I've never seen 100% of the time, but you can get pretty good win rate ratios. But honestly, as a beginner, all you want to do is make sure that your winners are 3 times bigger than your losers. What does that do? That means that you only have to win 33% of the time if your winners are 3 times bigger than your losers to be a profitable trader or break-even trader. So you actually have to win just a little bit more than that, but as long as you're winning over 33% of the time and you have a 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio, again, that just means that your winners are 30% and your losses are 10%. And once you have that win ratio in place, all you have to do is keep taking trades accordingly. So how does this apply to Bitcoin? What type of trading plan should you have? Let's get right into that. So with Bitcoin, we are seeing a rejection of this resistance zone that we drew previously. And you guys, I just want to talk a little bit about how to find entries after a rejection. And the way that I do this, I use Elliott waves in my trading plan. So we're expecting an ABC correction. This is an A wave that we've already started to form. We'll get a B wave of a bounce and a C wave will come back down. So some of the support areas that I'm watching are going to be in this area right here, this lowest support right here. So let's just take a percentage tool and see where our next support is. So if we take from the current price down, you can see that that's a 15% loss. So none of us want to lose 15%. Remember, if our winners are 30% and our losses are 10%, we probably don't want to lose any more than 10% per trade. So a good entry for Bitcoin is going to be after it drops closer to support. Once it starts to get in this $4,500, $4,600 range, then you only have 7 or 8%. Let's see right here. This is, that's 5% down, and that's going from the 45.60 level. It's a 5% loss, and this is all in US dollar if you guys are viewing in another country. I know that I have a lot of viewers from all around the world, so shout out to you guys. I really appreciate you tuning in wherever you guys are. But as long as you're taking that trade pretty close to this resistance, the support level here, then you're only going to be risking about 10%. So what does that look like? You can take your trading plan tool over here on the left hand side, and let's say that you enter a little bit above support here at 45.80, and then we can take our trading plan tool and we lower this low part to 10%, and we put our target at 30%. So that is a 1-to-3 risk to reward. Let's actually just make sure that this is correct here. 32, and let's drop this down to exactly 10% here. I like to be pretty precise here. There we go. So as you can see, a 10% loss and a 30% gain. That would mean that your entry is around 4,500. Your risk is only 10%, and you have a potential of making upwards of 30%. So let me just show you a trade that I took and showed my mastermind members previously, and you guys can kind of learn from the way that I've done this in the past. Okay, so for my mastermind members, I was explaining risk to reward to them as well in one of our webinars, live webinars that they tune into. And I showed how you can put a 10% stop loss. This 10% stop loss met the previous support level of 32, and how you could be targeting upwards of 30%, which is over 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio as a target. So let's just press play on this chart. And as you guys can see, this trading plan played out very nicely. It went a little bit below the entry price, but nothing to scare you. And it didn't get very close to your stop loss at all. And then prices rallied up to your target. So this was a prime example of using a trading plan to get an entry in on Bitcoin. I have also been teaching trading ranges to my VIP members in the Discord group. So what I've done here is, this is a short trade. We are teaching trading ranges like I just said. This is on the 4-hour time frames, and this is a short position down to the support level. So let's just click on this and press play, and we'll just move over here a little bit. So this is where we actually made the chart. Now it's red, but it was actually a successful trade. The only reason that it's showing that it's red is because I labeled it as a short, and then after the target was reached, the prices went up. So it it kind of tricked it. But this is a successful trade. As you can see, we entered over here. Now this one would have been a little bit scarier. The price got within a few dollars of your stop loss. But this is why you always stick to your trading plans, because even though it got pretty close to your stop loss, you never want to get shaken out. You just stick to your trading plan, and this is a prime example of how sticking to that was a good move, because it fell right back down onto that support level and was another successful trade. And this one also was a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, 2% stop loss with a 6% gain. So that's how you find entries on the short term if you're swing trading. Use those support and resistance levels and your risk to reward trading plans. But what if you're trying to invest in Bitcoin? What if you're trying to buy for the long term? The best strategy I've ever found is buying descending resistance breakouts. So literally all you do is you map where the prices are rejecting, and you draw a big black line every single time the price rejects. As you can see, rejection, 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 and the second that the price goes above that rejection line, you've got a long-term entry. So again, rejection, 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 breaks above that long-term resistance line, perfect long-term entry. Even right here, you've got rejection, 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 breaks above, perfect long-term entry. And right here, this is not quite as good. I could go to the BLX and show it a little better, but I'll just use Bitstamp for today. Either way, this is a lot of rejections in this area, breaks out of that zone, good long-term entry. And the same thing is actually happening currently on Bitcoin. So we have this big resistance line. We've broken above it. If it follows the same kind of thing that it's done in the past, it should come back onto this line and kind of test it as support. So we'll come back kind of like that. What we were showing, this is our short-term trade. This correlates with buying down over here. We've got a little bit of a drop, as you can see. And in the big picture, we're expecting it to kind of do what it did right here when it broke out. Does a little bit of a drop, and then we see that buying come back into the market and that long-term entry to take place. So I hope this gives you guys a simple strategy for playing the Bitcoin beast that it is. And I really hope that you guys are enjoying your Friday and have a great weekend as well. I will see my mastermind members tomorrow and you guys on Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in today's video. Go ahead and comment down below if you have any questions at all. Also, comment where you're from. I would love to hear where in the world you guys are watching this. Go ahead and hit that like button. Follow me on social media in the description box below, and I will see you guys in the next videos. As always, stay profitable out there.